interesting but sensitive area, emergency health care. Yeah. And of course, our guest this morning is Advance EMT Amamoo Maxwell. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Many thanks for joining us on Breakfast Daily.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So, yes, this is stemming out of the arrival of the ambulances, the commissioning, and the subsequent distribution of same. And we want to find out what are the fundamentals, the basic stuff we need to know as citizens, as people who will be the ones seeking the services from your end. What are the basic things we should be looking out for?
Okay. Thank you very much once again, and very good morning to viewers out there. Essentially, the ambulances are in now, and there's a whole lot of things in play here. And we have a part to play, and then the populace out there also have a part to play. And so whenever there's an incident, what we really require is for the person to, at least whoever approaches the incident, would exercise that calm a little, and then first and foremost seek for help, call out for help. Now the emergency line has been activated. It's 112 now. So when
it's working now?
It's working now. You can try it now if you want. Yes, it's been activated. So when you call, whatever kind of emergency you have, be it from the police, from the fire service, or from the ambulance service, you would be connected to, and then a few questions will be asked so that you could be properly located, especially now that we have our GPS working. So wherever the person is, no matter your location, we can be able to locate you with our GPS system that is now effectively in place. So first and foremost, when it happens, you try to seek that help by placing the call, and then you also try to help the person by first and foremost ensuring that the place the person is lying is safe, and so that it would not cause further injuries to yourself.
How do you ensure that the place is safe?
Well, assuming you approach this room and somebody has collapsed and is on the floor, you need to ensure that there's nothing around that can cause further injuries. That is making the scene safe.
So the floor has to be bare?
Yeah, it has to be bare.
Or you have to put something on the floor?
Assuming this table is in front of you, you have to push the table away so that the person could lie.
So you have enough room?
Have enough room to operate. And then if it's not in the room and by the roadside, you need to make sure that where the person is lying is also safe. So that at least whatever you can do as a person, you try to go in there to help the person before the arrival of the ambulance.
Is that advisable? Say, I'm not a professional, I know nothing about health. I'm asking this because I've heard that the first person to respond to such an issue contributes or either worsens or decreases the plight of the person involved in the accident.
Yes, and so with regards to that's our core mandate, one of our core mandates, to educate the public like we're doing as to certain things you as a non-professional can do in situations like this. And so, for instance, when you come into the room, you enter the room and then somebody has collapsed, as a non-professional, what you have to do, like I said, first and foremost, the place is safe, ensure that the person is lying in a good place, and then take all things away, and then maybe try to loosen the belt if he's a man, try to take off the shoes, and try to alert the person by tapping the person and calling him, Mr. or whatever. If you know the name, try calling the person. And if he responds, then you are in a position to just place him on his side, awaiting the arrival. Meanwhile, you've alerted somebody to call the ambulance service to come. Other than that, when you tap him and the person is not responding, then you have to do one or two semantics, like you place your hand on the
vein on the neck.
Vein on the neck here.
That is to check for pulse.
Check whether there's pulse. That's to check whether there's blood circulation in this thing. If you don't get the pulse, you look at the rise and fall of his chest to see whether he's breathing.
How do you check that, the rise and fall of the chest?
When the person is breathing naturally, you can see that the chest rises and falls. But if you don't see that, and then maybe you can put the back of your palm on his nose to see whether he's breathing. There's air entry. When there's no air entry, then straight away you deal beside the person and then open his chest, and then you start
the CPR
compressing the chest. You do those compressions, you do 30 times, and then you try to close his nose and lift up the chin a little, and then breathe into the person whilst I'm waiting there. You do this thing 5 cycles until the ambulance services come in. And so we see that with the introduction of the new ones, our response time would decrease because we are almost everywhere.
What is the response time?
Well, response time, depending on the location, should be between 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
That's depending on the location.
Across the country or mainly in Accra?
Across the country, and mainly in Accra, because elsewhere outside, like in the northern regions, the proximity is not that much. But even though it's not that much, within some specified time, at least 10 to 15 minutes, we should be able to reach your location.
And are CPR classes something you would recommend all of us to take so we know how to properly do it?
Yes, it's very essential because most of the time you're in an organization like this, God forbid, any worker could just pass out like that. And what do you do before the ambulance service comes? So we recommend that those classes are always taken by people in such organizations or people in and around, whether you're on the taxi or anywhere, so that when it happens, you can also try to help the victim before the professionals or proper help comes in.
Okay.
Right, now, let's look at some of the challenges you face as a unit. What are some of the challenges in your daily activities?
Well, hitherto it was the cars that were not in, but now that the cars are in sometimes in executing our services, we have this problem with the other road users, like the drivers. And sometimes you're in an emergency, your beacon lights are flashing, your siren is also beeping, and some people would like you're making some noises, and so instead of giving you that way to just access, some would even virtually be on your way and would just throw out their hands that, hey, my friend, you are disturbing or stuff like that. So those are some of the things. And then the other thing is the prank calls that comes in. People will just pick up the phone, and there are instances they'll call and then they'll just be insulting you.
Wow.
And so those are some of the challenges that comes. And then when it happens that way, if you're not careful, you might not be able to differentiate between a proper emergency and then maybe somebody who is pulling a prank. And so quite apart from that, it's quite okay for now.
Right.
Okay.
Let's get some information or some education on, say, an issue of choking.
Okay.
If I should come across a person who is choking, basics, what do I need to know? What do I need to do?
Okay, with choking, we are looking at literally there's an object or food that has blocked the airway, thereby impeding breathing. And so when you encounter such a person, we can break it down into two. It can be either mild or severe.
Okay.
When it's mild, that means the person is choked, all right, but is coughing. The person can really cough.
So then there's a bit of space.
There's a bit of space, and so and the person can even speak a little. And so when you encounter such a person, you tell the person to keep calm and then continue coughing till the thing comes out. But in the severe situations whereby the person is not able to cough, you see the person trying to hold the neck with both arms. You see the eyes are like popping out and stuff like that. When you ask any question, you use the head to nod in response to your questions. When it happens that way, we can also break it down into the infant, the baby, and then maybe the child, and then the adult. And so with a baby, when it happens like that, you place the baby in your palm like this with the jaw in between your thumb and then your first finger, and then you slide the baby down with the torso up, and then you try to use the heel of your palm to thrust the back in between the two shoulder blades at the back, and then try to put some force upwards like this. You tap the back this way, and by so doing, the baby can bring out the whatever is choking. And then with the child, you try to kneel behind the child, and then you put your arms under your hands under his arms, and then you create a fist like this onto his abdomen, the upper part of his abdomen, in between the rib cage and then the abdomen itself, and then you try to exert some force upwards like this till the thing drops. Excuse me. You can do this till the thing comes out, or till maybe the person in question passes out or collapses. When he does that, that's when our CPR also comes in. And then with the adult too, you make the adult kneel forward a bit, you support with your palm on the chest like this, and then you also put some thrust, like some force at the back in between the shoulder blades, to help the adult maybe spill out whatever is in him before maybe the ambulance services comes in. So in all these things, you should have called the ambulance service whilst you try to intervene, and then when we come, we take it up from there. There are other situations where you might also be alone, and then you're choked, and so when you're able to cough, you keep on coughing, and then if you're not, you look for a chair which is solid, and then you try to bend on the chair and then try to do the pushing like this, like what I was doing with my arms. And you try to do it with the chair till whatever is in there comes out, until further help comes. Right.
Now, I noticed that throughout, when we are to exert the pressure, it should be upward.
Yes, upward.
Is there a particular reason why it goes
we are trying
upward?
to let the thing out, and if you press down inwards, that means you're trying to push it down. Okay. And so that's why we recommend it goes upwards this way, so that the force that is exerted with this thing will bring it out.
But I've also seen cases of people wrapping their arms around the person and exerting force this way. Is that the wrong way?
It's not. It's another maneuver we call the Heimlich maneuver. Okay. And so that one is mostly done with the adults, where you also go behind the person, and then you create a fist this way, then use the other arm to support it, and just on the upper part of the abdomen and the diaphragm area, you try to push it up like this, exerting the force, and then that force that is exerted would let the person bring it out.
Okay. What about cases of car accidents? What do we do there?
Well, with car accidents, it depends on what really happened on that day. With car accident, we have head-on collisions, we had people would fall on the side, we have rollovers and stuff like that. But what you can basically do as a non-professional, is when you get to the scene of the accident, first and foremost, try and let somebody place that call. Okay. And then when the person is placing that call, you also try to assure that the scene is safe. In an accident scene, there might be spillovers, there'll be fuel and oil and all those things. So what you can basically do is to first and foremost see if you can reach out to the vehicle and disconnect the battery, so as not to start a fire. And then if the victim can hear you, you call out, hey boss, how are you doing? Is everything okay? If he can hear you and can come out of the vehicle by himself, you help him come out. But if he can't hear you and can't come out, you look at the situation here. There are some nowadays with the airbags. Sometimes you see the airbag is there, might even be trying to choke the person. You try to deflate the airbags so that the person will be released. So whatever position the person is lying, you make sure he's there, and then the place is safe. Because for most of the time, in trying to help the person, you might deteriorate the situation, because all you know is maybe, although he's sitting, he's stuck in there. And until we come around, or the other stakeholders like the fire service comes around, who have the professional knowledge to really bring them out, all you can do is to let the person be in that position, and then see if you can, because if you talk to him too much, maybe you stand on the side, he turns like this. In accidents, we know we are trying to prevent more harm to the spinal cord, which holds the body. Okay. And so in trying to turn too much, it would affect the spinal cord. So what you have to do is to keep the person safe, keep assuring him, and then make sure that there are nothing around to really further cause any injuries to him. And then whilst we await for help, now thankfully on some of the highways, we have some of the ambulances on standby just to attend to as immediately anything of that sort happens. So there isn't much of a thing you can do there. If the person is also bleeding, make sure you get some handkerchief which is clean and try to just put it on the spot, apply some pressure. Meanwhile, you can do it with bare hands. At least at that moment, there's no gloves or stuff like that. So if you can get some polythene, just to protect yourself, because you don't know what the next person might be carrying, and then you try to put it on the place he's bleeding and try to control the bleeding by just applying some pressure on where the bleeding is coming from. Apart from that, without the professional skills, I don't think there's anything further you can do till help arrives.
What of persons who go into shock, electric shock?
Well, okay, with electric shock, what you have to also basically do is, first and foremost, to disconnect the flow, where the source of the power. Yeah. So if you're in the room, if it has to do with a switch, make sure it's off, or you go to the main switch of the room and then put it off before you yourself will come and touch the patient. Okay. And then when you put the switch off, basically you would have to wait for about some few minutes or few seconds before you can touch the patient, because electricity is still being conducted through the person. So because you don't want to further wait, maybe you can get something that cannot conduct electricity to be able to get in touch with the person and maybe pull the person out. And basically when it also happens like that, they also sometimes go into shock, like you're saying, and then they would have to be revived through CPR. So you also do the processes like we did for the choking, and then you check for all any other injuries. Right. Sometimes in the process they might fall and injure themselves. If there's any bleeding, like the same process, you also try to control the bleeding. But make sure wherever he's lying cannot further conduct any electricity, because the body is still conducting. So, and then you pull him out of a place to a safer place so that you can properly attend to the person.
Thank you so much, EMT Advance Maxwell Amamoo. He is the Vice President of the Emergency Medical Technicians Association of Ghana. If anyone has questions for your association, is there a number or a social media handle we can contact you on?
Well, you can contact us on 0244 936 118. Or that's where you can get us on to answer any question.
Say the number again.
0244 936 118.
Thank you very much, Mr. Amamoo.
You're welcome.
Thank you at home for joining us for Breakfast Daily.
We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and share with your friends. This is Breakfast Daily on Citi TV.
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Join us for breakfast daily, only on Citi TV.